Electric Gold. We've got a really special episode lined up for you all this evening. This is our quarter season review. As always, I'm Ryan. I'm here with my good friends John and Evan. But tonight, guys, we've got a very special guest. We like to call him the captain. Liam is here with us tonight. Welcome, Liam. Glad to have you.
Welcome, Liam.
So excited to be here.
Awesome. We're glad to have you. Liam is the captain. He's the leader of our merry gang. What are you the captain of exactly, Liam? Tell everybody all the things that you're the captain of.
So I'm part of the Nashville Gaelic Athletic Club. Evan and John were both on my team for several years, different times of the year. Different years and two different sports. We play hurling and football, and both Evan and John were on my team, so I was their captain on those sports.
But it's not just any football, right?
Gaelic football, yeah.
Gaelic football, which describe for those that are uninitiated, what's Gaelic football like exactly?
Gaelic football is a cross between rugby and soccer. I think that's probably the best that describes it. It's got the physicality of rugby. You can kick it, the ball feels like a soccer ball or is round like a soccer ball, when you can kick it and touch it like rugby. So it's a combination of both. We play in a soccer field here in Nashville. We play 9 or 7-a-side, depends on who turns up. We got goalposts like American football, the H goalposts, and over the bar is worth 1 point, under the bar is worth 3 points. Just a whole lot of fun, yeah.
Wow. And what about hurling? Tell me just a little bit about hurling. What's the best way to describe that?
Hurling is very different. Hurling is more lacrosse and field hockey combined.
Good Lord.
With the physicality of rugby again. So we play with a stick called a hurley, and it's a wooden paddle that's about 3 feet long, and ball travels 70 yards at a time, 50 yards at a time, and it's coming at you fast and hot. A very fast moving sport. It's the fastest game on grass in the world. So it's a very, very fast paced game, yeah.
Yeah, so Liam, you're from Millersville, right?
Millersville, yeah. Been to Millersville. Got double fucked in Millersville.
You've got that Millersville accent.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys are all over 40, right? And you're playing these very intense physical games like hurling and Gaelic football. What's that feel like the next day?
I played on Sunday and I still hurt, still dehydrated, and still sunburned, yeah.
So I can say that I played last in 2022 and I still hurt.
Right.
It is so fun. Hurling is the best sport in the world. I swear to God, I told Liam, I think recently that if the Irish had colonized the world instead of the English, none of us would have ever heard of soccer. Hurling is so much fun, but it is a workout and a half.
It's a bunch of short bursts, of cardio. You play in position, you're marking your man, but you're kind of running half a soccer field in short bursts from standstill to back and forth. So it's a bunch of cardio, a bunch of physicality. Yeah, you will be hurting afterwards, but rewarding as well. It's a lot of fun.
Rewarding.
And the best part, of course, is all of the drinking that goes on after a game, right?
Yeah, we play for an hour and drink for 4 or 5 hours.
I like your style. Well, guys, as you know, this is neither a Gaelic football podcast nor a hurling podcast, though don't give us any ideas. This is, in fact, a soccer podcast where we talk about all things Nashville Soccer Club. And they didn't have a game last week, so we're going to do a quarter season review. But before we get started talking about any soccer, we've got to talk about the beers that we're drinking tonight. So we always like to share a beer while we're not sharing it. We don't all drink the same beer. That would be weird. But we're all drinking a beer this evening as we record. And Evan, I'll start with you. No, actually, I'm not going to start with you, Evan. I'm going to start with our special guest, Liam. What are you drinking this evening?
So I'm drinking one of my favorite beers. It's from New Heights Brewery here in Nashville. It's a coffees and cream beer, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Oh, nice. They're a lot like Tailgate, where they've got a lot of different selection on tap, but the coffee and cream is phenomenal. And a couple of my buddies work down there. They're part of the GA club, and then also that's the Roadies bar for the supporters club. So the Roadies supporters. But I absolutely love their beer and was down there on Sunday after the game.
Wonderful. That sounds delicious. All right, now, Evan, we'll come to you.
Thanks, guys. I'm drinking the Centennial IPA by Founders, kind of keeping the Michigan theme going this week. And yeah, it's really, really good. It's got this really nice little surprising bitter aftertaste, brewed with Golden Promise malts. Just really nice and balanced. I really am enjoying it.
Big fan of the Founders. Okay, John, your turn. What do you got?
I'm representing locally tonight. I am drinking a Del Rey Mexican lager from Mill Creek Brewing Company here in Nashville, actually in Nolensville. And it's a nice Mexican lager. I typically like funky ass beers, as anyone has listened to has surely discovered by now, but I really actually enjoy a Mexican lager about as much as anything else right now. It's really good. It's got that little bit of skunk that you are looking for in a Mexican beer, and it's perfect. It's a beautiful sunny, well, not sunny at this point, but like it was a sunny day all day today, and it's a summer beer, and I'm hoping for summer to come quickly.
Yeah, it certainly felt like summer today. Wonderful. Well, I've got something straight from Texas Hill Country. This is a Shiner Peach Wheat, and it is delicious. Now, this is more of a John type of beer. I'm not willing to typically throw a bunch of fruit into the beer, but this one is fantastic. It's not too overpowering or sweet or anything. Love it. Highly recommend it. Brewed with perfectly ripe peaches in Texas Hill Country, along with a mix of two-row and wheat malts for a slightly sweet, refreshing ale. I love it. It's delicious. Glad to be here with you guys tonight. Cheers to you all.
Cheers!
Well, we're not going to do a week in review this time, guys, because, of course, there was no game last week. The team had the week off. Instead, we're going to do a season so far in review. Nashville Soccer Club kicked off its 2024 campaign in the Dominican Republic on February 22nd, facing off against Mocha FC in the first round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. The boys in gold made easy work of Mocha with a balanced attack featuring goals from Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge, and Tyler Boyd. Joe Willis notched a clean sheet as NSC won 3-0. Seems like a really long time ago. Nashville then opened up their MLS season at home in Geodis Park on February 25th. Facing off against the Red Bulls of New York, NSC was constantly under pressure. New York outshot Nashville by a margin of 17-5, but in typical NSC fashion, the Nashville defense held strong and managed to eke out a 0-0 draw. Then, Mocha FC made the trip to Geodis to finish off the first round of the CCC tournament. It was another easy affair for Nashville as they coasted to a 4-0 victory behind a brace from newcomer Forster Ajago, as well as the first goals from Mackenzie Gaines, and also a goal from rising star Jacob Schaffelberg. The win secured a position for NSC in the next round of the CONCACAF tournament. Returning to MLS play, Nashville traveled to Colorado on March 2nd. It was a sloppy game for both sides, featuring an own goal mistake by Shaq Moore, remember that one? And then a bailout handball by Colorado in the 90th minute, which led to a penalty kick conversion by Teal Bunbury. Nashville escaped with a 1-1 tie. Continuing a very busy schedule, Nashville welcomed old rivals Inter Miami back to Geodis in a rematch of the 2023 Leagues Cup final. Nashville appeared to be in control early, taking a 2-goal lead into the half behind a brace from Jacob Schaffelberg, but the Miami Superstars could not be denied in the second half. Lionel Messi scored an inevitable goal in the 52nd minute, and then Luis Suarez nailed a heartbreaker in the 95th minute to earn a draw. Next, Nashville hosted the LA Galaxy in regular MLS play. The showdown at Geodis featured another early 2-goal lead for the boys in gold, as Teal Bunbury scored another penalty kick and Drew Yearwood notched his first goal for Nashville in the first half. Once again, the second half was not as successful as Nashville allowed 2 goals by the Galaxy, once again settling for a 2-2 draw. Wrapping up the next round of the CONCACAF tournament, Nashville traveled to Miami to face Messi and partners once again. This face-off was not so close. Suarez struck early, Messi scored as well, and Miami stayed comfortably in control. An extra-time goal from Sam Surridge saved face, but the 3-1 loss ended Nashville's CONCACAF tournament run. Turning their focus back 100% to MLS play, Nashville returned home to host Charlotte on March 16th. Nashville was once again off to a fast start. Sam Surridge opened the scoring for the boys in gold, and Alex Muyl also got in on the action, all in the first half. But just before the break, Charlotte got 1 goal back. The second half was a back-and-forth affair, but no additional scoring occurred, and NSC notched their first MLS win of the season with a final score of 2-1. The next weekend found Nashville making a cross-country trip to face LAFC in what turned out to be an absolute massacre. Things got ugly early as LA opened up the scoring in the 9th minute, and it only got worse from there. Somewhere along the way to a 5-0 loss, Joe Willis received a red card for using hands outside the box, and Nashville exited LA with their worst loss in franchise history. Back in Nashville, reigning MLS champs the Columbus Crew came to town. Nashville looked to rebound from the disaster in LA and certainly had some things to get excited about. After Columbus scored early, former MVP Hani Mukhtar finally tallied his first MLS goal since last September, and then Anibal Godoy pulled off a spectacular bicycle kick goal that was one of the most impressive in the club's history. Unfortunately, Nashville's lead didn't hold, as a late goal from Columbus evened the score and forced a final 2-2 draw. Finally, Nashville hosted perennial powerhouse Philadelphia at Geodis Park on April 6th. Once again, Nashville looked great early and took control of the game with a goal from Sam Surridge late in the half. And once again, Nashville couldn't hold on to their lead, as Philly evened the score midway through the second half. And then in the 90th minute, Philly notched a go-ahead goal, deflating the team and the crowd and sending Nashville reeling with a 2-1 loss. Nashville now sits an abysmal 14th place, that's out of 15, in the Eastern Conference, with a goal differential of -5. They've collected only one win. They've lost twice and have 4 draws. It's the worst start in the club's short MLS history, and during this run, they've experienced the most lopsided loss in their history. They're averaging nearly 2 goals allowed per game, while averaging just 1.1 goals scored per game. Their expected goals so far this season is 7.9, which is good for 5th worst in all of the MLS. So let's start there. Doesn't that sound great? Any general thoughts that you guys want to share, just summing up this first quarter of the season? As far as the MLS matches go, we've played 7 so far. Then we have the 4 tournament games that we've played. Obviously, we're going to dig into the details of what we've seen, what we've liked, what we don't like. But any general thoughts so far about the season that we've witnessed? Evan, what do you think?
General thoughts are that it's just been such a disappointment. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever sat as low as 14th in conference standings at any point in any season. You know how I feel about CONCACAF Champions Cup. I wasn't too disappointed to get knocked out of that by Miami, who is just about steamrolling everyone. But I am really disappointed that we didn't turn the corner after that. And we've had some very significant injury issues. But as we discussed last time, it's more than that. It's obvious that it's more than that now anyway.
John, is this all that unexpected?
Weirdly enough, probably not. I recall that most of the MLS experts picked us pretty low in the table. I don't remember too many people picking us to even make the playoffs. But it feels really disappointing to us because we're used to being a playoff team. 4 playoff appearances in 4 years, and even going back to USL, Gary Smith, 6 playoff appearances in 6 years. Right now, if you offered us a playoff spot, I would bite your hand off. Just in general for the season, I just wish that we could schedule Mocha for more games.
Yeah, that seems like so long ago.
Where's Mocha playing? Where are they doing? Let's play them some more.
Can we get into the Dominican League?
Yeah, can we join them?
I think McNaughton is Dominican, right? Is that one of his 5 nationalities, or
it might be?
So Liam, let me ask you. I've listened to some other commentators about NSC talk about this season in a vacuum. Personally, I feel like this is a continuation of things that we saw going on last season. What do you think? Should we just take this on its own merit, or is there more of a trend here that should be considered when evaluating this team?
Yeah, it all started going downhill right after Messi got in town last year, right after the final, the disappointing loss in penalties. And we never recovered from that mentally, kind of maybe not physically either. We had Walker probably playing injured at that point just to play the final, and we haven't really recovered mentally since then at all. So I'm not sure what our win rate since then is, but it's very low. And it's been tough going to Geodis or watching these games on TV and knowing that it's the same old, same old. It's going to be another tough night to be in an NSC fan, but we're hanging in there. It's really tough to be a fan right now. But then also, we didn't have MLS 5 years ago. This is what we've been waiting for 20 years. For me, I've lived in Nashville now 20 years, and kind of you guys for probably twice that, really waiting for this kind of level of competitiveness. And it's disappointing now, but hopefully it's short term. And it's even worth it going to Geodis Park and to lose, just to have the atmosphere and to have that excitement and to have that camaraderie that we have. I wouldn't have known you guys only for Geodis Park and MLS. So very mixed feelings. To answer your question, Ryan, it did start going downhill way before this year.
God, that is amazing. This is why we have an Irishman on. The Irish are known for their optimism.
Is that right?
Yep.
Is that right? But Liam is
They're
one
known
of a
for
kind.
something.
It's one of a kind. And yeah, absolutely. He's so right. It's hard to see the big picture sometimes when you're in the middle of a slump and the team is not playing well. But man, isn't it great that we have Nashville SC that we can talk about? We couldn't have picked a worse year to start a podcast about this team, right?
True.
But still, we have fun, don't we?
Yeah.
We have a blast, and you're exactly right. This is why we have a special guest on, to bring some optimism back into our lives. Last episode, I think Evan was completely broken.
I was, and Liam has started to build me back, because that perspective reminds me of when MLS first started back in the 90s, and me and my brother from another mother, Ben Julerat, and some other guys used to have to travel all the way to Columbus, Ohio to watch a professional soccer match.
Yeah.
And we did it multiple times because we loved it so much.
Like, it was horrible football back then. Like, the quality of the league now is a million years ahead of what
It sure was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're right. Even though last week I was living in the center of the hot core of anger and frustration, Liam has cooled me off, and now I'm feeling much better. So thanks, Captain.
All right.
This is why he's the captain. He lifts the team up.
He does.
He motivates you. If you don't mind, we'd like you to jump into the huddle with our defense next game, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
I'm a defender at heart, and I could probably do better than some of those guys right now.
Oh, nice. There you go. All right, guys, well, let's dig in a little bit deeper. Let's do the best and the worst. So, of course, what we do in the best and the worst, normally we just talk about the most recent game. We talk about the best thing that we saw all game or all week, and we talk about the worst thing. Since we're doing a quarter season review, this is going to be the best thing that you've seen since the season started. It can be anything from that first Mocha game on, and then similarly, we'll talk about the worst thing that you saw during that same time period. So let's start with John there, and tell us, John, what's the best thing that you've seen all season?
By far, Anibal Godoy bicycle kick goal.
Yes.
It was the coolest goal I think that I've ever seen live in person. And the fact that it was there right in front of the supporter section, me and Evan are probably 20, 30 yards away at the tops, and just right in front of us. And like, as soon as his feet leave the ground, I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. And then when it hit the back of the goal, 10 times as much. This is why I go to games, is to see amazing things like this. And this is why I love that we are an MLS team, that we have players that have the skill level to pull such a thing off. No matter how bad the team has been overall, that goal alone was almost worth the whole shittiness of the season so far.
Wow. If you had to select one song from your lifetime to apply to that goal as the soundtrack of that goal, like let's say you're watching that goal in slow motion, what song begins to crest in the background to really emphasize the moment?
That's a really hard question, Ryan. Let's go with Lost at Birth by Public Enemy. It's the opening track on Apocalypse 91. If you know the song, it's like the ultimate kind of intro song. It was kind of meant as like their intro to all their concerts, and it just keeps building and building and building and building. And then when the payoff hits, when Chuck D gets there and he starts going off, I listen to this song almost every time that I go for a jog around my neighborhood, and it gets me going, man. I'm old and I can't run anymore, but once that song goes off, I start running. And so, yeah, Anibal Godoy, he's an old man like me, in soccer terms. It's funny that I say that because, he's, 10, 15 years younger than me. But he got there, man. He got to the top of the game. He did his bicycle kick. It was glorious. It gets me excited. And even if he doesn't do a single good play for the rest of his career, that one play alone makes me love him forever.
I hope he does do something else good in the rest of his career because we've still got him on contract for a while. Liam, what was the best thing that you saw this whole season so far?
So I was going to say Godoy also, the Godoy goal, which was absolutely phenomenal. I was not at the game. I was in Ireland when I saw it. I woke up the next morning after the game and got to see the game the goal on social media. And I showed my nephews who were 7 and 9, and they just thought it was the most amazing goal they've ever seen in their lives. And these guys are used to watching Barcelona and Manchester United and good teams. And, they were just blown away by this. That was really cool. I guess another best thing that I've seen is the 7-0 aggregate win against Boca was a great start to the season. At that point, I thought we were invincible. We had 2 goals from our new player. Is it Iago?
Yeah.
Kind of just felt great, a great start to the season. There was a little draw there in the middle with New York. That's part of a course as well, or a decent start to the season, I guess. But the 7-0 aggregate win felt really good, and I didn't know at that point they were so weak. It was a great start, and their stadium was amazing. The huge oak tree behind the goal as we were scoring looked amazing that night. Yeah.
Yep.
I've mentioned it a couple of times. It seems like so long ago. That first game against Mocha where Sam Surge scored and Hani Mukhtar scored and even Tyler Boyd scored, that was probably the peak of his season so far, was that game. And then the second game where we thought we were seeing a flash of the future between the brace from Majago or Mackenzie Gaines. Where's he been? I wish we could see some more of him. That was exciting. So yeah, I co-sign on that. Very exciting, very thrilling part of the season. Really the most fun as far as entertainment that we've seen on the field this season probably were those Mocha games. As you said, probably now we understand the competition level wasn't really that high. Okay, Evan, bring us in. What was the best thing that you've seen so far this season?
Best thing I've seen this season is the continuation of great crowds at Geodis Park. Like you said, the downward trend that we're seeing started way back last season, but you would not know it at Geodis Park on a Saturday night this season. We've had 28,000, 27, 26,000, just about every game so far. Now, whether or not that continues after the Philly game, we'll see, but we're still there for the boys. We're still showing up. We're still chanting the same 3 songs, right, John? But we're there. We're having a big time. We're supporting them. And that to me is brilliant.
I love that.
Well said. Yeah, I think that, again, we've been pretty negative, growing more negative throughout the season, but I think we need to take this week off to reset and just say, hey, we still love going to these games. There's still a blast to go to. We have a great time together going, and I know that all the people that I see in the crowds, it seems like they're having fun, no matter what's going on the field. It's a great atmosphere. It's a beautiful park, probably the most beautiful MLS park in the entire league, and we need to continue to support them. We need to continue to make it a fun atmosphere. And as much as it may be difficult to do, we need to stay positive. It's still early. We could still claw our ways into a playoff spot. And then from there, who knows what might happen? We get some people back. We get some people healthy. We have a lot of potential. I really do believe that. I just want to throw a quick mention, something that I think is maybe not as great as some of the things you guys have said, but still, I believe, belongs on the best of list. And that is the rise of Canadian phenom Jacob Schaffelberg. The guy has been on fire since the beginning of the season, and he has not stopped. He's our leader in assists. He's our leader, I believe, in goals. And he even scored for the Canadian national team in the same stretch. So the guy is just really doing it all. And I'm so excited to see him blossom. And I think that he's got more growth ahead of him. I've been kind of ringing his bell all season long so far, saying, last week I was saying he's our best offensive player right now, our most valuable. I just think he's a real key for us and for our success if we're going to have any this season. So I'm excited about that. He's been a silver lining in an otherwise putrid season.
Get him the ball. Just get him the ball more.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
He's been so good that he almost worries me that he's going to go to Europe.
Ooh, Really? You think that's a possibility?
Wouldn't you think so? If you were a European team, you're looking for a young, fast guy that is obviously learning skills quickly. Jacob Schaufelberg. Let's see how he does in Copa America with Canada. But yeah, I don't want him to go anywhere. But man, if I was in charge of a European, say like a English championship team, a level like that, I'd be taking a hard look at that guy right now.
Or like Wrexham. Wrexham, come pick him up.
Like
pay
Wrexham
him a bunch
coming
of
up
money.
into League One. He could be the star of that next season, man.
No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, well, let's not give them any ideas. I'm sure there's a bunch of European managers that are listening to this podcast. We don't want to give them any ideas.
Yeah,
so
please
let's be quiet
Yeah.
on that. Let's take a turn away from all the goodwill and talk about some of the things that have been not so great and talk about what's been the worst thing that you've seen this season. Again, you're going to have plenty to choose from here. We'll start with you, Liam. What do you think's been the worst thing that you've seen?
I'm going to go with the last game against Philadelphia. There was a lot of things to choose for this quarter of the season, but the last game, we went 1-0 up, and I think the 40th minute, the 42nd minute, right before halftime, and we lost the game at that point. Like, it was 1-0, we stopped playing. We came out and played atrociously the second half, and ended up losing 2-1 in a 90th minute goal. The players were not playing. They did not come out the second half to play. They were settling for 1-0 at halftime and just gave up. And I was very disappointed. You could see the whole kind of demeanor of the players during the second half. They were not playing for passion, for love, for anything. Like there was no excitement and they were just beat before the game was even over, before the game was half over, and it was just very disappointing to see. It was also my first game in the supporters section in Geodis Park, and it just felt very flat. So the stadium was 20,000 people, 25,000 people. There was a pretty full stadium, but the fans were disappointed and starting to give up, along with the players, because the players weren't playing for the team. It was just really tough the entire time, and it was just hard to watch. The second half was really painful to watch, and that 90th minute goal then was just a kick in the crotch. Like, it was just the worst thing that could have happened, because we were playing after they scored their first goal, whatever it was, the 60th minute, we were playing for a draw at that point. We'd have been happy with a draw, so it was just, we never tried to get even a second goal in that game. It was very, very disappointing.
So, Liam, you've been listening to us on this podcast for the past several weeks as we've been talking about these issues around the team. What you saw in that Philly game, you said that the players didn't play, that the fans were out of it. What about the coaching staff? Because, we've talked a lot about the coach on this podcast. How much do you attribute what went down in that game to Gary Smith and his staff?
Yeah, all of it, I think. Kind of he
100%. Okay. Good. That's a lot. That's a big portion.
He lost the players lost to him, or there's no commitment, or there's no teamwork there. They're not playing as a unified system right now, and there has been a lot of changes, obviously, with the back defensive and everything. But Gary has the potential to build and motivate that team, and he is not doing that. Gary and supporting staff. It's time. Everyone was on this chant last week, I think, but it's time for change. And Gary has brought us a long way. He's been with us since the beginning of MLS for sure, and beyond, and prior to that. But he needs to go out now as a hero rather than kind of make this draw out for the rest of the season and be painful. We'll have more 5-0 losses. If we keep going like this, we will have another 1 or 2 5-0 losses, and that's zero fun for everybody. He ought to be looking now for his next plan.
Wow.
Love it. Love it.
We're out there a little bit, guys, with our feelings on this. Again, I've been listening around to some of the other folks in the NSC community, and a lot of people are trying to pump the brakes on this whole Gary hot seat stuff. They're really trying to say, not yet. We got to give him a chance to turn it around. He's a proven winner. He needs some more opportunity. He's had a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of people that are saying, slow your roll on this Gary needs to go talk. But we're not one of them.
No, we are not.
No, we are not.
I feel the next 2 games are really crucial, and I'm not the only one, because Tom Bogert wrote an article this week, and he listed 5 MLS coaches on the hot seat, and Gary Smith is one of them. Look, our next game against Miami, that's a crapshoot. But the game after that, the home game against San Jose, is big time for Gary Smith. We have to really deliver that game in a big way to get our season going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think these 2 games are big.
How hard do you think he's working right now to get Randall Leal moved off of that international spot so he can use Forster Ajago in a real game?
He's got to be moving heaven and earth, man.
Evan, what's the worst thing that you've seen so far?
Worst thing I've seen is the absence of Walker Zimmerman. I just think that absence is felt throughout the entire team. Obviously, he's our best defender, probably the best defender in the league. So you're missing what he gives you athletically competitive. But the leadership void that he has left, we were hoping somebody would fill that void quickly. In the defensive end, maybe it was going to be Jack Mayer. On the other side of the pitch, maybe it was going to be Hani. But nobody has filled that void yet. We're missing his passion, missing his determination. We're missing his hatred to lose. And
makes a difference. Yeah.
It makes a difference. Yeah. I mean, it really makes a difference. And we can only hope that he'll be back after this break. I think the Tennessean reported maybe a couple of weeks ago that he could be back for the Miami game and even Leal. But listen, I don't see much changing regardless of who we get back until Walker's back.
We definitely miss him locking down the defense and just bringing some stability back there because it's been a real mess. And I think that we've had 6 different defensive lineups in the 7 games that MLS games. So it's just been a revolving door back there. We need Walker back in a big way. If he comes back and then all of a sudden this team starts playing well, I know it's an unusual circumstance, but maybe he should be considered for MVP because, I know it usually goes to like the top scorers and offensive players. But if he actually single-handedly is the factor that turns this season around, then he absolutely should be in that consideration.
Yeah, at the very least, put that 12-foot statue outside Giota's.
Yeah, it's time, yeah. All right, John, what's the worst thing that you've seen this season so far?
There's so much I could focus on, but I will focus on just one tiny thing in particular, and it's the fact that Luis Suarez was on the pitch to score the tying goal in the home leg at the CONCACAF Champions Cup. To me, Anibal Godoy should have punched him in the face when he had the chance. Punched him, decked him, knocked him straight out of the game. I don't care if he got a red card. I don't care if he got suspended from CONCACAF for life. It would have been worth it. He should not have been on the pitch. We should not have allowed him to stay on the pitch for the equalizing goal. And that was the worst thing. I'm kind of glad that we didn't win that series because we would have gone on to play Monterrey. We would have lost 10-0 on aggregate if you look at how they handled Inter Miami. So, I mean, all things considered, it's probably good that we lost that. But it would have been nice to have that home win against them to hang our hats on. And it would have happened if Godoy had punched Luis Suarez in the face.
I'm still looking for my revenge from the League's Cup final.
Yeah.
We should have had that game. We played them eye for eye. I mean, it was a completely even game against some of the best talent in the world. We stood up to them.
We were better.
We really were. With our backup goalie, in fact. And it just frustrates me how that game ended. It was a huge game. The stadium was packed. The tickets were going for hundreds of dollars. The whole soccer world was watching Nashville in that moment. And we absolutely stood up and earned a lot of respect with that, but we just didn't quite close the deal, and I still want my revenge for that one.
Yeah, how many of those kids wearing pink jerseys might have become NSC fans for life if we had come through with a result that day?
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know, but maybe 2 or 3, maybe 1,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just making shit up here.
No, you're absolutely right. One of the most frustrating sports moments of my life was being there at that game and
it was
how
deflating.
It turned out. Yeah. For our very special quarter season review episode, we've got a very special category. This one's called Oh Hell Yeah. So, oh hell yeah. That's a great name for a category. Thanks, John. Anyway, this is the biggest surprise that you have had this season. So it may not necessarily be the best thing, but it's the most surprising thing and in a positive way, because we're going to do biggest disappointments in a minute. But what's the biggest positive surprise that you have observed this season? And Evan, we'll start with you. What's the biggest surprise so far?
The biggest surprise I've seen this season was the combination of Godoy's bicycle kick goal against Columbus and then the resurgence in his play that followed against Philly. He came out and was the best player on the pitch for us for the entire match, best player on the pitch between both teams the first half. And when I saw him coming out and playing like his old self against Philly, I was just like, oh, hell yes.
John, what about you? What's the biggest surprise you've seen this season?
The biggest surprise I've seen in a positive way is that Taylor Washington has been on the pitch as much as he has. He has played 580 minutes this year versus only 838 all of last season and even less the season before. The Tennessean had a great article on him this week that Evan shared with me, and I absolutely loved. I think if you ask around Nashville SC fans, a lot of us are going to say Taylor Washington is one of our favorite players. He's an amazing guy off the pitch. His energy is just amazing. We love the guy. And not only that, he's done pretty well in his time. He had one bad game, the LAFC game, but everybody had a bad game that game. In the home games that he's played, he's put in good balls. He put in a great assist for Sam Surge for one game. I feel like he had some more good play in the possibly the Charlotte game or the LA Galaxy game. I can't remember exactly, but he's played well. He hasn't played worse than Dan Lovitz has at that left back position. And just in general, I'm very happy that he's getting his chance because honestly, at the end of last season, I thought maybe that might be the end of Taylor. He didn't play much last year. I thought maybe we'd go out and try to find a left back with more experience as a backup left back to Lovitz. And, I kind of expected Taylor Washington to kind of move into that almost mascot type role that Jalil Anababa kind of serves for us, like kind of our hype man, the guy that all the fans love. But no, he's stuck with it and he's being rewarded. And not only that, he's made his time on the pitch count. He's earned his minutes. And I just want to say, hell yeah, Taylor Washington. Keep going, man.
For those who may not be aware, he's been with the team longer than anybody. Goes back even before their MLS days, right?
He is our only player left on the squad that played on the USL team that started in 2018. Hats off to him. The guys who played on that USL team, they were making peanuts, man. For him to stick with it just shows his attitude is right there. He was not giving up. And the fact that he's still with the team and making a contribution just tells you everything about his personality, that he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier for him.
And he's a real sweetheart from everything I can tell as well. He's just a real nice guy and certainly seems to be the one. I mean, all the players seem very appreciative of the fans, but nobody shows it like he does.
No. So, Liam, why do you hate Taylor Washington?
I wouldn't say I hate him.
I'm kidding.
Liam, what's your biggest surprise of the season so far?
He's not green. He's not blue. He's Teal Bunbury. Oh, hell yeah. He's our highest goal scorer, tied with Surge, I guess. So he's up there at the top. He's big surprise of the season. No comment if that's good or bad, but that's a big surprise.
Love it.
It's probably not something you would have predicted this far into the season.
That's very true.
Probably the less said about that, the better. Let's move on to our biggest disappointments this season. And I've got a special title for this segment as well.
Yes, let's hear it.
Oh, hell no. What's your all hell no disappointment of the season?
My disappointment of the season is Tyler Boyd.
Oh, yeah.
He was supposed to be the next offensive contributor to the team. At the very least, he was supposed to replace Fafa Picault. And so far, I haven't seen it. The only time I remember him playing well, the Mocha game, then he was actually okay the first Miami leg. But so far in MLS play, I haven't seen anything that justifies him being our big expectation as an off-season signing. I really hope he turns it around. He's at least a former U.S. international. And the fact that he's not contributed anything while Fafa Picault is over in Vancouver tearing up the league, doing really well, makes it a bitter pill to swallow. So, hell no, Taylor Boyd.
Evan, I remember at one point in one of our podcasts recently, he was your hot take, or maybe it was in your letter to Gary, that they needed to stop playing Tyler Boyd, or at least stop starting him because you were so disappointed with what you were seeing, right?
That's right. And I still feel that way. I feel like he probably I just feel like he needs to earn it. Maybe we were rash to just plug him in as a starter from day one based on whatever expectations we had, whatever reputation preceded him, whatever money we paid him. He has not earned it. He hasn't earned that starting spot. And I think it's time for him to come off the bench for a while until he gets that fire back in his belly.
Of course, he has been hurt past couple of games. When he does get back to being able to play, maybe they will ease him back in coming off the bench. Maybe that will achieve what you're looking for as far as earning it. While we've got you, though, why don't you go ahead and let us know what your biggest disappointment of the season is so far?
Just these lost leads time and time again. You know, they say that the 2-0 lead is the most dangerous in soccer, and that is proving itself over and over again with us. And sometimes, given the opponent, given the previous game, a draw doesn't feel that bad. But then Philly comes along, and again, to me, it was so obvious based on the first half performance that we should have won the game, and then that we ended up losing the game in the 90th minute. When they scored that goal, I just looked at John, and John looked at me, and I think we both probably said something like, "Oh, hell no."
Oh, we may have to keep this for future podcasts. So. Well, Liam, I'll let you have the last crack at it. What's the biggest disappointment that you've seen this season?
Evan mentioned it earlier. It's the lack of leadership and ownership. This is more on the field. You know, we lost Dax, we lost Walker, both of them huge shoes to fill. But it's not like Sturridge hasn't done anything. Like Sturridge just played in the Premier League this time last year. He was still playing the Premier League. Like, he could have stepped up. We got Hani, who's an MVP. He could have stepped up. And we don't have the leadership capabilities or anybody willing to step into those shoes. Then Gary dicking around in the background with the goalkeeper, like Willis could have been that leader as well. He's got the experience, he's got the maturity, he's got the voice to stand up and be that leader, at least in the defense, when nobody else in the defense is stable and we're swapping out goalkeepers. Like, we have a rock solid defense. That does not make any sense that you change goalkeeper every week when you're changing your back four every 30 minutes. So it's just chaos there. Really, it's kind of the lack of leadership on the field and nobody stepping up. Like, these are professionals, well-paid professionals, well-experienced professionals, and they should be out there, Sturridge, Hani, Willis, even if he's not playing, on the bench, getting that team motivated and getting out there and taking the place of Walker and Dax, and neither one of them are doing it.
So we're not going to get a hell no from you?
Hell no.
There we go. Wow. There we go.
Best one of the night.
Oh, wow. All right, guys. Well, I know that Liam's really looking forward to this next part because it's time for the Nashville Hot Chicken Takes. Okay, of course, as you know, this is the part of the podcast where we get real wild and crazy and get your wildest hot take, and I'm going to judge how spicy it is, if it's going to burn my tongue off or if it's just like really mild. It's obviously from the north. So, Liam, I'm going to let you have the first crack at it so nobody else can steal your thunder. What's your hot take for the season so far?
I think Teal Bunbury is going to end up with the most goals of the season. And maybe even MVP.
Whoa.
Wow.
He just won, man.
My eyebrows are singed.
Boy, Teal. Yeah.
Woo. Can y'all get me a glass of milk?
Is that spicy enough? Or
Yeah, you did it. I mean,
That's the spiciest.
Dial it back a little bit there, bud. Take about 10% off.
That's Conan O'Brien on Hot Ones spicy.
What makes you say that? I mean, what brings you to that conclusion?
Well, he's had a good 30 minutes of play with us over the last 2 years or 3 years with us. So he's one of our highest goal scorers right now. So he's got to come out there, tear up the field. He's one of our best passers, obviously.
It's not saying much.
He's literally our worst passing percentage. I think he's at like 50% success rate. So he misses 50% of the shots he takes. I just got that feeling that it's Teal's year.
What is the number of goals he's going to score to lead the team with?
Oh, at least 2 more.
No.
4 goals.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
At least double what he's got now. Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm going to hate you if you're right.
If Teal's our leading scorer this season, it's going to be a long season.
It's going to be time to wrap up this podcast.
Oh, man. All right. Well, while I recover from that, John, do you want to give us your hot take?
Yeah. My hot take is that Walker Zimmerman, who may be our most important player, and like you said, if he leads the team to a great season after he comes back, maybe the MVP of the league, he should not be a designated player for Nashville SC.
Okay.
We have 3 designated players, and they are Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge, and Walker Zimmerman. And I did some deep dive research into this. There are currently 70 designated players in MLS. Anyone want to take a guess how many defenders are in that 70?
I don't know. I'm going to say there's
5.
not very many, right?
It is 3. Walker Zimmerman, there's a new guy for DC United, and some Brazilian guy for New York City. I don't think that you should save your money that doesn't count towards your salary cap on defenders, no matter how good they are. I think that money should be spent taking a risk on creative attacking players who are going to make things happen out of the ordinary. And the fact that we have him as one of our DPs sends a message that we are not very ambitious. We're not a serious team that's looking to win the title. We are a team that is looking to half-ass our way into a title.
Gary Ball.
We are looking to sneak into the playoffs. We are looking to win some penalty shootouts after 0-0 aggregate ties in the playoffs, whatever, and cross our fingers and hope. And this is nothing against Walker Zimmerman because, again, he might be the best, most valuable player that we have, if not MLS. He should not be one of our designated players. We should have spent that money risking it on a South American attacking number 10, something like that, like Atlanta has or Cincinnati has. The creative people that can turn a game. Even if they suck all game, they can just make one play that makes the difference. And that's the kind of players that you want as designated players, and that's what we don't have.
Yeah, so basically, living through this Gary Smith era of NSC is sort of like the Jeff Fisher era of the Titans, where there was some early success, but a very conservative defensive approach where you want to win on a field goal at the last second. And that's sort of like Gary's approach is as well.
You're just hoping for a 13-12 win in football.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for a 0-0 penalty kick win.
And in that same analogy, Walker Zimmerman is our field goal kicker.
Yeah.
And if he is our field goal kicker and he's the one that's winning these close games, you still don't put the franchise tag on your field goal kicker.
Amen.
You still don't draft them in the first or second round. So.
Yeah, exactly. You don't waste a high pick. You don't waste your high money on. I mean, literally, there's. Okay, so I'm going to say that there's not as much difference between the best defender and the worst defender in the league as there is between a top-of-the-line striker attacking midfielder and a middle of the pack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the talent difference between Teal Bunbury and Luis Suarez is large.
Compare Luis Suarez to Teal Bunbury. That difference is more than Walker Zimmerman to Eric Miller.
Hey, do you guys know, speaking of Eric Miller, he scored the game winner for Portland last week?
Hey, props to Eric Miller.
Yeah.
He has scored as many goals in MLS as Hani Mukhtar.
Oh, hurt my heart. Oh. Hurt my heart.
Not as many as my boy Teal.
That was medium spicy. I don't think you're going to touch Liam's hot take.
Nothing will.
Evan, you can give it a try. What's your hot take so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of pointless after Liam burned us alive there, but my hot take is that this leadership void that we've been talking about has actually now been filled by our beloved Soccer Moses.
Ooh.
Soccer Moses is going to come down off the mountain with tablets with new songs on them. And he's going to lead us, the enslaved, out of Egypt, or what we call Gary Ball. He's going to inspire the team, inspire the city. It's not going to be 40 years of wandering, though. It's only going to be about 40 days. And we're going to hit right about Leagues Cup, and we are going to win Leagues Cup this year, boys.
Ooh,
yes.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a very spicy take as well. I'm still giving the award to Liam, but that was a nice shot at it right there.
That was
well done.
good.
Well done. And I hope you're right. All right, guys, that's been a lot of fun. Now it's time to get to the weekend preview. As if they haven't had enough of Team Pepto-Bismol, Nashville will once again get their shot at Inter Miami as they travel this weekend to South Florida. Unlike their first two matches, this game against Miami will be a regular season matchup, but Nashville will certainly have their work cut out for them. Miami currently leads the Eastern Conference, and Luis Suarez is tied as the league scoring leader so far this season. The last three matchups versus Miami have all been in tournament play, and NSC has mostly held their own. But with each team trending in opposite directions, Miami will be clearly favored for victory. Okay, guys, that's what we've got lined up for us this weekend. Nashville going to Miami, our bitter, I wouldn't call them rivals, but they are certainly a thorn in our side and have been for the past couple of years now, really the entire league side. I'd like some predictions about what you think is going to happen. You can give me a prediction both for the game and then also a prediction for the rest of the season. So, John, I'll start with you.
All right, for the game, Nashville SC is going to score 1 goal. Enter money laundering CF is going to score 0 goals.
Oh, wow.
We're going to win. We're going to win, baby. And I'll tell you why. Because Brian Anunga is going to start.
You lost me.
And he is going to man-mark Messi out of the match. Do y'all remember that we played them in the league last year after the League Cup final in Miami?
I don't remember.
It was a 0-0 draw. And guess who the man of the match was?
Anunga.
Brian Anunga. All of MLS praised Brian Anunga for his defensive work against Lionel Messi. He marked him out of the match entirely. Anunga did not play the League Cup final, but yeah, he played in that league match after the League Cup final. And Messi was pissed off, if y'all remember. He could not get free of the dude. And so, yes, the last 2 games we've played Anunga, he has really fucked up pretty bad and not marked somebody. But I think that the big occasion is going to draw the best out of him. I think he is going to frustrate Messi so much that after the match, Messi is going to announce his retirement from the sport of football.
Embarrassed.
And that he is going to move to Nashville to enjoy some of the nightlife here. And then
Instead of Miami, how boring it is
instead
down
of
there.
Miami, Nashville is the it town. Who's the it town? Nashville is. I don't hear Miami being called the it town. Nashville is the it town. He's going to move to Nashville. He's going to be hanging out, and then unfortunately, he's going to get arrested. He's going to throw a chair off a rooftop at a cop below on the street. And that's going to be the end of Lionel Messi.
By the way, I know that people are all upset about Morgan Wallen throwing that chair off the rooftop, whatever. That happens like every night downtown Nashville. I don't know why it was such a big deal.
When doesn't that happen?
Yeah, I'd be more surprised if he hadn't thrown a chair off the roof. So Brian Anunga ends Messi's career.
Messi's career.
Yeah, wow.
That's what's going to happen Saturday night.
Yeah, that is a wild prediction indeed. Evan, can you top that?
I don't know, but here goes nothing. So here's what I think happens. I think we get Zimmerman back. I think we get McNaughton back. 2 great additions to the lineup that have been missing sorely. On the other side, I think Messi sprains his ankle filming a beer commercial down there on South Beach. Well, my team is still researching this, but we believe that it's either a beer-flavored potato chip or it's a potato chip-flavored beer, but regardless, sprains his ankle and can't play. Luis Suarez will also not be able to play in the match because he will be performing community service, because at a Miami Marlins game, he gets into an altercation with the team mascot, bites a big chunk out of him, and is sentenced to community service. So we're getting some guys back. They're going to be losing some guys. And guess what? We win the match 3-0.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Woo. I'm really looking forward to that one, honestly. That's going to be a lot of fun to see. Okay, Liam, you get the final word here. What's your wild prediction for this week and for the season?
My scoreline is the opposite of Evan's. We lose 3-0.
Oh!
The realist.
Panico scores, saves a couple of penalties from Messi. Suarez falls down and gets kicked by Godoy, and all is good and all is right with the world. The wild prediction for the rest of the season, I think we get our boys back. We get our defenders back. We get Zimmerman. We get McNulty. We get Shaq back. That happens in the next 30, 45 days, I think Evan said, when Moses comes down and does stuff. And then, we'll be back on top. We're going to finish the season top 4.
Wow.
You realize, of course, if that happens, that Gary Smith will be our coach for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
Once he gets his defenders back, we're good, right? Once we get McNulty and Zimmerman and Shaq, we're good.
Guys, this has been highly entertaining. I really have enjoyed it. My beer is empty, so it's time for us to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Liam, thank you so much for joining us. Please come back anytime. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Captain.
Yep.
Thanks, Cap.
John, you want to let people know how to get in touch with us?
Absolutely. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Electric Gold NSC. We also have a Facebook page for what it's worth. If you would be so kind, if you like us, maybe leave us let's say a 5-star review on the podcast app on Apple Podcast. Yeah, any of that could help us. If you hate us, talk to us. Please don't leave a 1-star review. Just tell us how we can be better and earn that 5 stars.
Yeah, or give us a good homegrown cussing. I like a cussing every once in a while.
Yeah, I'd love a cussing out. That was hell no.
Oh, hell no. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Looking forward to this weekend. And you know what they say. Come on, you boys, and go.
Come on, you boys, and go.
Come on, you boys, and go.